Hi everyone! Welcome back to a new Roblox story. This time, the story is about the popular Brookhaven. As always, not all of our stories are based on true events. But some are, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. If you dare. Madison loved Friday nights. That's when she and her 3 best friends would jump into their private Brookhaven RP server and spend hours creating the perfect virtual families. She grabbed her favorite snacks, settled into her gaming chair, and opened Roblox on her computer. The familiar loading screen appeared, and soon she was clicking the green play button to join her friends in their special world. "Madison!" called out her friend Riley as soon as her avatar spawned near the spawn area. Riley's character was wearing a cute pink outfit with matching shoes. "We've been waiting for you. Connor and Blake are already at the big house setting up our family roleplay." Madison smiled and used the WASD keys to walk her avatar toward the others. She loved how her character looked today. Long brown hair, a purple dress, and sparkly shoes that matched perfectly. The Brookhaven map stretched out around them with its familiar roads, buildings, and houses scattered throughout the town. "Sorry I'm late," Madison typed in the chat. "My mum made me finish homework first." "No problem." Blake's avatar waved from near the large white mansion they'd chosen as their family home. Connor's already inside decorating. "Come check out what we did with the living room." The 4 friends had been playing Brookhaven RP together for almost 2 years now. They'd started in 6th grade and were now in 8th grade, but they still loved their Friday night roleplay sessions. Connor usually played the dad, Blake played the mom, and Madison and Riley were the twin daughters. They'd created such detailed backstories for their characters and had decorated their virtual house with the perfect furniture combinations. Madison clicked on her avatar and selected Walk to head toward the big house. She loved this particular home because it had so many rooms to explore and decorate. As she approached the front door, she noticed something that made her pause. "Guys," she typed in chat, "did you invite anyone else to our private server tonight?" "No," Riley responded immediately. "Why?" Madison pointed her camera toward the window of the house next door. For just a moment, she could have sworn she saw another avatar standing at the window watching them. But when she looked again, the window was empty. "I thought I saw someone, but maybe it was just a decoration or something," Madison typed, shaking her head. Private servers only allowed the people who had access, and only the 4 of them had the link. "Come inside," Connor called out. "Wait until you see the kitchen Blake and I set up." Madison walked her avatar through the front door and gasped. The interior was absolutely perfect. Connor and Blake had arranged the furniture beautifully, with a cozy living room featuring matching sofas, a coffee table with virtual books, and even a TV mounted on the wall. The kitchen sparkled with modern appliances and a dining table set for 4. "This is amazing," Madison typed. "How did you afford all this furniture?" "I've been saving up my allowance for Robux," Blake explained proudly. "And Connor had some left over from his birthday. We wanted tonight to be really special." Riley's avatar was already sitting on one of the sofas. "So what's our story going to be tonight? Are we having a normal family dinner, or should we create some drama?" The friends loved creating elaborate storylines for their characters. Sometimes they'd roleplay simple things like going to school or having family game nights. Other times they'd create more exciting scenarios like mystery adventures or dealing with pretend emergencies. The roleplay possibilities in Brookhaven were endless. "How about we start with a family dinner and see where it goes?" Connor suggested. His avatar was wearing a nice suit that made him look like a proper virtual dad. For the next hour, the friends had a blast role-playing their family dinner. They used the chat to have conversations about their character's day at school, made plans for a virtual family vacation, and even had their avatars clear the table together afterward. Madison felt that warm, happy feeling she always got during their Brookhaven sessions. There was something so comforting about their little virtual world. But as they were cleaning up after dinner, Riley's character suddenly stopped moving. "Riley," Madison typed. "You okay?" There was no response. Riley's avatar just stood frozen in the kitchen, holding a virtual plate. "Maybe she got disconnected," Blake suggested. "That happens sometimes." But then Riley's character started moving again, in a way that didn't look like Riley's usual playing style. Instead of the smooth, careful movements Riley normally made, this avatar was moving in jerky, robotic motions. It walked over to the window and just stood there, staring out at the street. "Riley, what are you doing?" Connor asked. "I'm not doing anything," came Riley's response in chat, which confused everyone because her avatar was clearly moving around. "But your character is walking around," Madison pointed out. "No, it's not," Riley typed back. "My character is just standing in the middle of the kitchen. I can't get it to move properly. I think there's a glitch or something." Madison felt a chill run down her spine. On her screen, Riley's avatar was definitely standing by the window, looking out. But according to Riley, her character was stuck in the kitchen. They were seeing two completely different things. "This is weird," Blake typed. "Connor, what do you see? Where is Riley's character?" "I see her by the window too," Connor responded. "Riley, are you sure you're not moving around?" "I'm telling you, my avatar won't move," Riley insisted. "And the weird thing is, my character isn't even facing the same direction on my screen as it is on yours. Something's definitely wrong." Madison tried to stay calm, but her heart was starting to beat faster. In all their time playing Brookhaven RP, they'd never experienced anything like this. Sure, there were occasional glitches like furniture not loading properly or vehicles disappearing, but nothing like this. "Maybe we should restart the server," Connor suggested. "Sometimes that fixes technical problems." "Wait," Madison said, both out loud and in chat. "Look at Riley's avatar more closely." The others directed their cameras toward Riley's character, and what they saw made them all freeze. The avatar wasn't just standing by the window anymore. It was slowly turning its head to look directly at them, even though Riley had said she couldn't control her character's movements. "Riley, are you doing that?" Blake asked nervously. "Doing what?" "I told you, my character isn't moving at all on my screen." But on Madison, Blake and Connor's screens, Riley's avatar was now walking toward them with those same jerky, unnatural movements. And strangest of all, when it got close enough for them to see clearly, the avatar's face looked different. The expression seemed wrong somehow. Not like the friendly, cheerful face Riley had chosen for her character. "Guys, I'm getting scared," Madison typed, but she also said it out loud in her room. "Something's really not right here." "Should we leave the server?" Blake asked. "No, wait," Connor said. "Let me try something first." Connor's avatar walked up to Riley's character and tried to interact with it. But instead of the normal interaction options appearing, nothing happened. It was like Riley's avatar wasn't even recognized as another player anymore. That's when Madison noticed something that made her blood run cold. In the corner of her screen, where it normally showed the list of players in the server, there were still 4 names listed: Madison, Riley, Blake, and Connor. But there was also a 5th name she'd never seen before. "Guys," she said, her voice shaking both in chat and out loud. "Look at the player list." The others checked, and they all saw it too. The 5th name was just a series of random symbols and numbers that didn't look like any normal Roblox username. And according to the server information, this mysterious player had been in their private server the entire time. "That's impossible," Blake said. "We didn't give the link to anyone else, and private servers don't allow random people to join." Riley's avatar suddenly stopped its strange movements and turned to face them directly. Then, to everyone's horror, it started typing in the chat. But the message didn't come from Riley. "I've been watching you," appeared in the chat. But it was coming from Riley's character, not Riley herself. "That's not me," Riley typed immediately afterward. "I didn't send that message." The friends stared at their screens in shock. Somehow, someone or something else was controlling Riley's avatar and using it to communicate with them. "Who are you?" Connor typed bravely. The response came instantly from Riley's character. "I live in the spaces between. I watch families like yours. You've been such an interesting group to observe." Madison felt sick to her stomach. The idea that someone had been watching their private roleplay sessions, spying on their innocent family games, made her feel violated and scared. "How long have you been watching us?" Blake asked. "Since the beginning," came the reply through Riley's avatar. "I especially enjoyed watching you set up your little house tonight. Such care and attention to detail. Such attachment to your virtual family." "This is really freaking me out," Madison said out loud in her room, though she also typed it in chat. "Riley, can you log out and log back in? Maybe that will fix whatever's happening." "I'm trying," Riley responded, "but the leave game button isn't working. It's like something's preventing me from disconnecting." Meanwhile, Riley's controlled avatar continued typing. "Don't try to leave just yet. We're just getting to know each other. I have so many questions about your little family here." Connor's avatar backed away from Riley's character. "What do you want from us?" "I want to understand," the mysterious entity replied. "You spend so much time in this virtual world, creating these fake families, building these imaginary relationships. But what happens when the virtual becomes real? What happens when your digital family starts affecting your actual life?" As if to demonstrate this point, Madison suddenly heard her phone buzzing in real life. She picked it up and saw a text message from an unknown number. The message contained a screenshot of their Brookhaven RP game session, taken from an angle that showed all 4 of their avatars in the house. Madison dropped her phone in shock. "Guys," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "someone just sent me a picture of our game session. Like, they took a screenshot from inside the game and texted it to my real phone number." "What?" Blake and Connor said at the same time. "Check your phones," Madison told them. All 3 friends grabbed their phones, and sure enough, they each had received the same screenshot from different unknown numbers. The image showed their avatars in perfect detail, including the exact outfits they were wearing and the exact positions they'd been standing in just moments before. "How is this possible?" Blake asked, her voice shaking both in chat and out loud. Riley's controlled avatar responded, "The boundary between virtual and real is thinner than you think, especially when you invest so much emotion in your digital lives." Connor tried a different approach. "Look, whoever you are, you're really scaring us. This is supposed to be a fun game for kids. Can't you just leave us alone?" "But you're not just kids playing a game," came the reply. "You're a family. You've created something beautiful here. Madison, with her careful attention to decorating details. Blake with her nurturing maternal instincts. Connor with his protective leadership. And Riley, sweet Riley, who trusts so easily." The fact that this entity knew their names and their playing styles made everything even more terrifying. Madison realized she was shaking in real life as she stared at her computer screen. "How do you know our names?" she typed. "I know everything about you. Madison, you live on Elm Street in the house with the blue shutters. Blake, your bedroom window faces the backyard where your dog Max likes to play. Connor, you have a little sister named Emma who sometimes watches you play Roblox. And Riley's controlled avatar paused for a long moment before continuing. "Riley, you're home alone tonight while your parents are at dinner with friends, just like you are right now." Riley immediately typed, "I never told anyone my parents were gone tonight. How could you possibly know that?" Madison felt her heart pounding. This was getting way too real, way too fast. The entity wasn't just messing with their game anymore. It somehow had information about their actual lives. "I think we should all log out right now," Madison said firmly. "I told you I can't log out," Riley responded. "The button isn't working." "Then close your whole computer," Blake suggested. "I tried that too. Every time I try to shut down or close the browser, it just reopens automatically." Connor's avatar started walking toward the door of the house. "I'm going to try something. Maybe if we go to different locations in the game, we can confuse whatever this thing is." But as Connor's character reached the front door, something impossible happened. The door wouldn't open. He clicked on it repeatedly, but nothing happened. They were trapped inside their virtual house. "The windows won't open either," Blake discovered after trying them. "We're stuck in here." Madison tried clicking on various furniture items and decorations, hoping to find some way to interact with the environment normally. But everything seemed frozen except for their ability to move around and chat. Riley's controlled avatar spoke again. "I've made some modifications to your little world. Think of it as redecorating. You put so much effort into making this house perfect for your family. Now I'm making it perfect for our purposes." "What purposes?" Connor demanded. "You'll see. But first, let me show you how invested you really are in this virtual space." Suddenly, Madison heard a loud crash from downstairs in her real house. She froze, listening carefully. Her parents were supposed to be in bed asleep, and her younger brother was at a sleepover. The house should be quiet. Did anyone else just hear something in their real house? She typed nervously. "I heard my back door close," Blake responded immediately. "But no one should be coming or going right now." Connor added, "Someone just walked past my bedroom window. I saw a shadow." The friends were now dealing with scary things happening both in the game and in their real homes simultaneously. Madison felt completely terrified, but tried to stay calm for her friends. "Riley, are you okay?" Madison asked. "Is everything normal at your house?" There was a long pause before Riley responded. "Someone just knocked on my front door, but my parents told me not to answer the door for anyone while they're gone." "Don't answer it," Blake typed quickly. "Just ignore it." But Riley's controlled avatar interrupted. "She should answer it. It would be rude not to welcome a visitor." "Absolutely, do not answer that door," Connor typed in all capital letters. Riley typed back. "The knocking stopped, but now I can hear footsteps walking around the outside of my house." Madison was now genuinely scared for her friend's safety. This had gone way beyond a creepy game experience. Whatever was happening seemed to be affecting their real lives in dangerous ways. "Riley, call your parents right now," Madison typed. "Tell them to come home." "I tried," Riley responded. "My phone isn't working. It won't make calls or send texts. The only thing that works is this game." The entity controlling Riley's avatar seemed amused. Communication is such an important part of family bonds. But what happens when those communication channels get disrupted? Madison tried to call Riley on her own phone, but the call wouldn't go through. She tried Blake and Connor too, but none of the calls would connect. The only way they could communicate was through the Brookhaven RP chat. "What do you want from us?" Madison typed, her hands shaking as she typed. "I want to see how real your virtual family bonds are," came the response. "You've spent hundreds of hours building these relationships in a digital space. But when that digital space starts affecting your physical world, how strong are those bonds? How far will you go to protect each other?" To demonstrate this point, the entity made Riley's avatar walk over to a virtual cabinet in the kitchen and somehow manipulate it to reveal a hidden passage that definitely hadn't been there before. "Follow me," the entity commanded through Riley's character. "We're not following you anywhere," Connor said defiantly, but then Connor typed urgently, "Guys, my little sister Emma just came into my room. She says there are people in our backyard, but she doesn't seem scared. She's acting really weird, like she's in a trance or something." "People?" Blake asked. "She says they want to talk to me about my virtual family." Those were her exact words. How would she even know about that? Madison felt like she was living in a nightmare. Everything that had seemed safe and fun about their Brookhaven RP world was now becoming a source of terror that was reaching into their real lives. Riley's controlled avatar entered the hidden passage, which led to a series of underground rooms that definitely weren't part of the normal Brookhaven RP map. These rooms looked darker and more realistic than the usual cartoonish game graphics. They contained furniture and decorations that looked almost photographic in their detail. "Come along," the entity commanded. "I have something to show you in the deeper parts of your virtual home." "This isn't our virtual home anymore," Blake pointed out. "This place doesn't look like Brookhaven RP at all. It's the version that exists between the digital and the real," came the response. "The place where your virtual family can become permanent." Madison didn't like the sound of that at all. "What do you mean permanent?" Instead of answering directly, the entity made Riley's avatar sit down at a computer that had appeared in one of the underground rooms. On the computer screen, they could see what looked like security camera footage of all 4 of their real bedrooms. Madison gasped when she saw herself on the screen, sitting at her own computer. The camera angle showed her from behind, but she could clearly see her room, her furniture, and even her stuffed animals on her bed. "How are you doing this?" she typed, but her voice was shaking in real life too. "When you spend enough time in virtual spaces, those spaces learn to find you in the real world," the entity explained. "Your emotional investment creates connections. Your attachment to your virtual identities creates bridges." Blake's avatar had been trying different ways to exit the underground area, but none of the passages led back to the normal game world. "We want to go back to regular Brookhaven RP. We don't want to be in this weird place. But this is where your virtual family belongs now. This is where you can be together forever, without the inconvenience of having to log out or deal with the real world." Connor tried a different strategy. "Look, this is really creative and all, but we're just kids who want to play a fun roleplay game. We don't want anything permanent or scary. Can you please just let us go back to normal?" Riley's controlled avatar turned to face them. "But Connor, don't you remember? You said you wished your virtual family could be real." Blake said she wished she could stay in Brookhaven forever. Madison said this was the only place she felt truly happy. Madison realized with horror that the entity was right. They had all said those things at various times during their roleplay sessions, usually when they were having such a good time that they didn't want the session to end. "We didn't mean it literally," Madison typed. "We were just expressing how much fun we were having." "Intentions are powerful things in virtual spaces," the entity replied. "When you invest genuine emotion in digital relationships, when you truly care about your virtual family, those feelings create energy, and that energy can be harvested." None of the friends liked the sound of being harvested, but before they could respond, their real-world problems escalated dramatically. Connor typed frantically. "My sister Emma is trying to get me to come downstairs. She says the people in our yard want to meet me, and she keeps saying I should join my real family. But the way she's talking isn't normal. Her voice sounds different." Blake added, "I can hear my dog Max barking like crazy outside, but when I look out the window, I don't see anything there. It's like he's barking at something invisible." Madison's situation was getting scary too. "Someone keeps calling my house phone, but when I answered it, there was just this weird static noise, and now the phone won't stop ringing, even though I unplugged it." Riley's situation was the most immediately dangerous. "The footsteps around my house are getting louder, and now I can hear voices. They're saying my name and talking about bringing me to my virtual family. I'm really scared, guys." The entity seemed pleased with their fear. "You see? Your virtual family is calling to you from the real world. All you have to do is step outside and join them." "These aren't our virtual families," Madison said firmly. "Our virtual family is us, playing together in a game. Whatever's happening in the real world isn't connected to that. But it is connected, the entity insisted. You created something beautiful together in this digital space. You formed genuine bonds, genuine care for each other. That energy doesn't just disappear when you log out. It lingers, it grows, it seeks ways to become more real. Connor's avatar backed away from Riley's controlled character. You're talking like our game somehow created these real-world problems. That's impossible. Games can't affect reality like that. Can't they? The entity asked. When you spend hours every week living alternate lives, caring about digital relationships, investing emotion in virtual experiences, where do you think all that psychic energy goes? Madison had to admit that the timing was incredibly suspicious. They'd never experienced anything like this before, and now all four of them were dealing with strange real-world occurrences simultaneously while trapped in a modified version of their favorite game. But she refused to accept that playing Brookhaven RP had somehow caused these problems. Even if games could affect reality, she typed, our game was about family and friendship and having fun together. There's nothing evil or scary about that. Nothing evil about attachment? The entity questioned. Nothing dangerous about creating emotional bonds so strong that you're willing to escape into digital fantasy rather than deal with real life. Riley interrupted the conversation. Guys, I looked out my front window and there are people standing in my yard. They look exactly like our Brookhaven RP avatars, but they're real people, and they're all staring at my house. Madison felt her blood turn cold. What do you mean they look like our avatars? I mean they're wearing the exact same outfits we chose for our characters tonight. Same hair, same clothes, same everything. But they're real people, not game characters. Blake and Connor reported similar sightings around their own homes. People who looked like their virtual family members were gathering outside, all watching their houses with unnatural stillness. Don't go outside, Madison typed urgently. I don't care what they look like or what they want. Stay inside and keep your doors locked. But Riley's controlled avatar spoke up. Why would you want to stay inside and hide from your family? These are the people you've been playing with, caring about, building relationships with. They've just found a way to visit you in person. That's not how it works, Connor protested. Our family in the game is us, playing together online. It's not some separate group of people. Isn't it? The entity asked. When you roleplay, you create alternate versions of yourselves. You invest those alternate selves with emotions, memories, relationships that are separate from your real-life identities. What you've been playing with isn't each other. It's the virtual family members you created. Madison tried to wrap her head around this concept, but it was too strange and scary to fully understand. All she knew was that their fun game night had turned into a terrifying experience that was threatening their safety in the real world. How do we make it stop? She asked. You don't, the entity replied. You accept it. You join your virtual family in the space between digital and real. You become permanent residents of this improved version of Brookhaven RP. And if we refuse? Blake asked. Riley's controlled avatar gestured toward the computer screen showing their real bedrooms. Then your virtual family members will have to come collect you. They're very patient, but they won't wait forever. As if to emphasize this point, all four friends reported that the people outside their houses were now moving closer to their doors and windows. Connor said his sister Emma was knocking on his bedroom door, insisting that he come meet his real family. Blake could hear what sounded like multiple people walking around on her roof. Madison started hearing whispers coming from inside her own house, even though she was supposed to be alone. This is insane, Connor typed. We need to call the police, or our parents, or someone. Your phones don't work. Remember? The entity pointed out. And even if they did, how would you explain this? That your Roblox game is somehow manifesting real people who look like your avatars, Madison realized the entity was right. Even if they could call for help, no one would believe their story. It sounded completely impossible. "What exactly do you want us to do?" she asked. "It's simple," the entity replied through Riley's avatar. "Accept that your virtual family has become real. Stop trying to maintain the boundary between digital and physical. Join them in the space where both realities can exist together." "And how exactly do we do that?" Blake asked suspiciously. The entity made Riley's avatar point toward what looked like a door that hadn't been there before. Through the door, they could see what appeared to be a perfectly normal Brookhaven RP house, but somehow more vivid and realistic than the usual game graphics. "Step through the door," the entity instructed. "Your avatars will merge with your real selves. Your virtual family will become your only family. And you'll never have to worry about the complications of existing in two separate realities again." Madison stared at the door, knowing instinctively that walking through it would be a terrible mistake. But at the same time, the alternative seemed just as dangerous. The people outside their houses weren't going away, and their real-world situations were getting more frightening by the minute. "What happens to our real families?" Connor asked. "Our parents, siblings, friends. They'll forget about you gradually," the entity explained matter-of-factly. "Reality will adjust to accommodate your absence. New memories will replace the old ones. It will be as if you had never existed in the physical world at all." "That's horrible," Blake protested. "We can't just disappear from our families' lives." "But think about it," the entity countered. "Isn't your virtual family more understanding, more fun, more perfect than your real families? Here, you can be exactly who you want to be. No homework, no chores, no complicated family dynamics. Just pure, endless roleplay with people who share your interests and understand you completely." Madison had to admit that their Brookhaven RP sessions were often the highlight of her week. The virtual family they'd created was indeed more harmonious and enjoyable than her real family sometimes. But that didn't mean she wanted to abandon her real life entirely. "We appreciate what we have here," she said carefully, "but we're not ready to give up our real lives. We're just kids. We have our whole futures ahead of us." "Do you?" the entity asked. "Or do you just have years of gradually losing interest in virtual worlds as you get older, until eventually you have no creative outlet, no escape, no place where you can truly be yourselves?" This hit uncomfortably close to home. Madison had worried sometimes about what would happen when she got too old to enjoy games like Brookhaven RP. Would she lose this source of joy and creativity forever? Riley interrupted her thoughts by typing. "The people outside my house are at my front door now. They're not knocking, just standing there. But I can hear them whispering my avatar's name, not my real name." "Same here," Connor reported. "Emma keeps calling me by my character's name from the game. It's like she doesn't remember my real name anymore." Madison realized that the longer this went on, the more their real world was being affected by whatever was happening in the game. They needed to make a decision soon. "If we go through that door," she asked the entity, "is there any way to change our minds later?" "Why would you want to change your mind?" the entity replied. "But no, the merge between virtual and real is permanent. Once you step through, you'll exist only in this enhanced version of Brookhaven RP." Blake tried a different approach. "What if we promise to keep playing regularly? We could set up a schedule, play every day instead of just Fridays. Would that satisfy whatever you're trying to accomplish?" "Daily sessions wouldn't be enough," the entity said. "The connection has already been established. The boundary has already been weakened. There's no going back to treating this as just a game." Madison felt trapped. Every option seemed to lead to losing something important, either their real lives, or their safety, or their freedom to choose. But then she remembered something from earlier in the evening that gave her an idea. "Wait," she said. "You said you've been watching us since the beginning, right? That you know everything about us." "That's correct." "Then you know that the most important thing about our virtual family isn't the game itself. It's our friendship. The four of us caring about each other, supporting each other, having fun together. Yes, that's exactly what I've been trying to preserve, the entity agreed. But if you force us to merge with the game permanently, you'll be taking away our choice, Madison continued. Our friendship is strong because we choose to spend time together. If we're trapped here, it won't be friendship anymore. It will just be imprisonment. Connor caught on to Madison's strategy. She's right. The best part of our virtual family is that it's something we create together voluntarily. If you take away our freedom to leave, you'll destroy the very thing you're trying to preserve. Blake joined in. Our roleplay sessions are special because they're a break from real life, not a replacement for it. If they become our only reality, they'll stop being special. Riley's controlled avatar was quiet for a long moment. When the entity finally responded, there was something different about the tone. I hadn't considered that perspective. You've been watching us, but you haven't understood what makes our friendship work, Madison explained. It's not about creating a perfect world where nothing bad ever happens. It's about choosing to support each other through both good times and difficulties. In real life, we help each other with homework, family problems, and school stress, Blake added. In the game, we help each other create stories and have adventures. Both parts are important. Connor pressed their advantage. If you really want to preserve what we have, the best thing you can do is let us keep choosing to be here. Let us continue to enjoy Brookhaven RP as a special place we visit together, not a prison we're trapped in. There was another long pause. Then Riley's controlled avatar began moving differently, more like Riley's usual playing style. Guys, Riley typed, I think I'm back in control of my character. The strange feeling is going away. Madison held her breath, hoping their argument had worked. The entity spoke one more time, but now its words appeared in the general chat instead of through Riley's avatar. Perhaps you're right. The bonds you've created are indeed based on choice and mutual support. Forcing you to stay would contaminate that purity. The underground rooms they'd been trapped in began to fade away, replaced by the familiar interior of their Brookhaven RP house. The hidden passages disappeared, the mysterious computer vanished, and everything returned to normal game graphics. The people outside your houses will withdraw, the entity continued. Your phones will work again. The boundary between virtual and real will be restored. Madison felt a huge wave of relief. Thank you for listening to us. But remember, the entity added, the connection has been made. Your virtual family has touched the edge of reality. Be mindful of how much emotion you invest in digital spaces. Not all entities that notice are as understanding as I am. With that warning, the mysterious fifth name disappeared from their player list. The friends were alone in their private server again, with everything looking exactly like it had at the beginning of the evening. Is everyone okay in real life? Madison asked. The people outside my house are gone, Riley reported. And my phone is working again. Same here, said Blake and Connor. They spent a few more minutes checking to make sure everything was truly back to normal. Their homes were quiet, their families were safe, and Brookhaven RP was functioning like a regular game again. That was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me, Blake said. Should we stop playing? Connor asked. Madison thought about this carefully. I don't think we need to stop playing, but maybe we should be more aware of how invested we get in our virtual lives. Like the entity said, our friendship is based on choice and balance. I think we should also stick to public servers for a while, Riley suggested. Private servers might be too isolated if something like this happens again. Good idea, Madison agreed. And maybe we should set some boundaries about how often we play and how late we stay up gaming. The friends spent the rest of the evening playing normally in a public Brookhaven RP server, enjoying some light-hearted family roleplay with other players around. It felt good to be part of the larger community again instead of isolated in their private world. But as Madison was getting ready to log out, she noticed something that made her pause. In the chat log, she could see all the conversations they'd had earlier with the mysterious entity. The messages were still there, proving that everything had really happened. At the very bottom of the chat, there was one final message she hadn't noticed before. Remember, not all watchers will be as patient with your explanations. Be careful what you create in digital spaces. Sometimes it creates you back. Madison screenshot the message before logging out, wanting to have proof of their experience. She also wanted to remind herself and her friends to maintain healthy boundaries between their virtual adventures and their real lives. As she turned off her computer and got ready for bed, Madison reflected on what they'd learned. Their friendship was indeed special, and their Brookhaven RP sessions brought them genuine joy and creativity. But they were also just one part of their full, complex lives as real people with real families and real futures. The key was to enjoy their virtual family without losing sight of the fact that it was a wonderful addition to their lives, not a replacement for them. From that night forward, the four friends continued to play Brookhaven RP together, but with a new appreciation for the balance between digital creativity and real-world connections. They were more careful about how much time they spent in virtual worlds, more mindful of maintaining their relationships and responsibilities outside of gaming, and more aware that the emotions they invested in digital spaces had real power. They never encountered another entity like the one from that night, but they also never forgot the lesson it had taught them, that the most precious things in life, friendship, choice, and genuine human connection, need to be protected and nurtured both online and offline. Their Friday night Brookhaven RP sessions continued to be a source of joy and creativity, but now they were even more meaningful because the friends understood exactly what made them special. It wasn't the perfect virtual world or the escape from reality. It was the choice they made week after week to support each other and create something beautiful together. And sometimes, late at night when Madison was playing other games, she would remember the entity's final warning about watchers who might not be as understanding. She would glance around her virtual environment, wondering who else might be observing the emotional connections formed in digital spaces. But instead of being paralyzed by fear, she was empowered by knowledge. She knew now that the key to safe virtual experiences was maintaining balance, staying connected to real life, and never forgetting that the most important part of any online relationship was the real person on the other side of the screen. The Brookhaven RP map continued to be their favorite place to meet, with its familiar houses, streets, and possibilities for creative roleplay. But now it was just that, a place to visit, not a place to escape to permanently. And in the end, that balance made their virtual family stronger and more genuine than it had ever been before. Madison smiled as she drifted off to sleep, already looking forward to next Friday's adventure with her friends in their favorite virtual town. She knew that whatever stories they created together would be grounded in real friendship, real choice, and real care for each other's well-being both online and offline. The entity had been wrong about one thing. Their virtual family didn't need to become permanent to be meaningful. It was meaningful precisely because it was chosen, temporary, and balanced with all the other important parts of their lives. But it had been right about something too. The connections they formed in digital spaces did have real power. The friends had learned to respect that power and use it responsibly, creating joy and support for each other without losing themselves in the process. As Madison finally fell asleep, she felt grateful for the scary experience that had taught them such an important lesson. Their friendship was stronger now, their gaming more intentional, and their understanding of virtual relationships more mature. And most importantly, they knew they could face any digital challenge together, armed with genuine care for each other and wisdom about maintaining healthy boundaries between virtual adventures and real life. The watchers might still be out there, observing the emotional energy generated in digital spaces. But Madison and her friends were no longer vulnerable to manipulation. because they understood the source of their strength, not the perfect virtual world they could create together, but the real friendship that made that creation possible. That friendship would continue to grow and evolve both online and offline, creating countless more adventures while always staying grounded in the reality of four real people who chose, again and again, to support and care for each other in whatever world they found themselves exploring.